Alright, people, alright, what is going down? What is going down? Right, let me just check that we is live. Un momento, just check my pages. Alright, I can see it, and there it is. Alright, let me just check. Is this alright, we is live, people, we is live. Now, just sharing this, and then we're good to go. Let me just bring up the Facebook people as well. Mi gente. Alright, ¿dónde están? Alright, there you are. Bismillah, inna alhamdulillah wa kafah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulih al-Mustafa. Wa ala ibadi alladhina irtada. Wa man bihudahum ihtada. Wa bi athari ahli al-Madinah iqtafa. Wa ba'd. Fassalamu Allahi ala al-qawm. Ahlan wa sahlan bikum wa marhaban. People, as always. 欢迎来这 bienvenidos a todos. Alright. Bakhair ragle, people. Khush amadid. Right, and swagatam, people. So, what is going on? I'm just pressing share here, and we is good to go. There it is. Right. Alright. Alright, that's good. That's done. So, what is going on? Let me just bring up. Somebody said, yeah, you know what? I thought, let's leave it a bit rough for the folks as well. Karna padta hai yaar. People are like, what the hell? Does his hair not even grow there? So, it's got to be done sometimes. Sid is in the house, people. You're doing it, Sid. You're doing it, man. That's it. Keep rocking it. Alright, so what is going on, people? As you can see, right, let me just bring up here. Alright, people, alright. Look at that, people, look at that. Vah. That's what I'm talking about, people. That's what I'm talking about. Do you see some of that? The graphics. Look at that. It's gotta be done. It's gotta be done, people. It's gotta be done. So, right now, I'm just waiting for a few people to click like, click share. I'll run you all through the usual, people, the usual. Now, I'm just trying to see what is going on here. I'm always fidgeting with some of this stuff, trying out different things, seeing what's going on. It's not making much sense to me, but that's all good. Let me switch this back into studio mode over here. You guys can't tell the difference. I can. So, people. Whoa, Ramadan is about to come to an end, as it is. We'll be taking a look at some of your questions. I'll go over some of the things. I'll go over the Eid prayer, how that is bothering mi gente. Look at some of the questions already rolling in. That's what I'm talking about, people. That is what I'm talking about. Right, so what's been going on? Let me see over here. Alright, check this out, folks. Check this out. Alright. You like it, this one. This one. Right, let's take, before we actually get into some of the questions, do I have a poem?
हम इश्क के मारों का इतना ही फसाना है,
Wow.
रोने को नहीं कोई, हंसने को संभालना। क्या हुस्न ने समझा है, क्या इश्क ने जाना, हम खाक नशीनों की ठोकर में जमाना। ये इश्क नहीं आसान, इतना ही समझ लीजिए, एक आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना। ये हुस्न जमाल उनका, ये इश्क व शबाब अपना, जीने की तमन्ना है, मरने का जमाना।
Wow, 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 wow. People, wow, wow, what a way to start. Now, as you've probably figured out, that the Iman, for some of you might be up there, might be rocketing. You know, some of you blessed folks, since Ramadan is coming to an end, some of you, unlike me, have utilized your time. So the power of your Iman, it's going to be somewhere like this, people. This is where I'm expecting you to be. Your Iman to be, people. Some of you might have been wondering the same question as me, that why was the bad guy trying to shoot him with what's-its? He was shooting him with what's-it crisps. He was trying to break his fast as well as his salah. These naughty people. Right, so, but I did actually come across something that was very inspiring, and it was an old man teaching another old man how to perfect or better his tajweed and pronunciation of the Shahada, and by extension the Quran. And I thought that is amazing, that no matter what age you're at, you never need to feel you're too old to be learning.
इस तरीके नाल इस छोटा जा पढ़ना अशहदु 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 नहीं यार हिला छड़दा सी अशहदु अशहदु अन्ना 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 इंजे नहीं करना अन्ना 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 निकजड़ा अन्ना 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 लंबा करवाना यार नून लंबा नहीं करना अन्ना 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 ओ फलाने अन्ना ओ अन्ना ओए अन्ना क्या करना भैया अन्ना अन्ना मुहम्मदन मुहम्मदर महब्बा नहीं मु इन्हें हिज करना गोल है
मुहम्मद
मु मुहम्मद मु मोहम्मद जर मारी ने सुनना ना अपनी मने ना मु मोहम्मद इना गोल करना सुनना मु
Muhammad. I thought, honestly, I came across that, I thought it was amazing. MashaAllah, may Allah bless them, and each and all. You know, at such an age, I don't know what the age of the people in the video is, but presumably at their age, still a focus, a passion for tajweed people. Now that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. The love of learning. Right, so what? ¿Qué lo que, mi gente? ¿Qué lo que? What's ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal su Ramadan, people? What is going on? He goes, lamba nahi karna. Don't make it long. you, Khadim, you, Harami. You're making the mind go to D-track, the detour. So, what is going on? Clearly in their 20s, absolutely. So, what is going on, people? We've got some. I did make some notes to make sure 1-2 people had asked their questions. I thought, well, in case I forget, I always keep forgetting people's questions. So, what is going on? Did Imam Malik want to become a singer? Pop idol, huh? This is it. Salaf got talent. Salaf got talent, people. The Salaf got talent. Imam Malik, let me tell you about Imam Malik. Imam Malik wanted to become a singer when he was a young boy. So presumably this must have been anything under 10 up until maybe like about probably around, actually I'm assuming maybe around just the 10 mark, maybe a bit more, 11, something like that, but not like into his teens or anything. But he wanted to become a singer and he had this passion for it. And his mum told him that she goes kada shakal taki hai. That is the equivalent of what his mum told him, but لكنها قالت بالفصحى. in the eloquent Arabic, she said it. She said booty. She said what it was is Imam Malik was blonde with blue eyes. So even though today, I guess there's this whole, because of the Western influence, and there's this whole thing of blonde and blue eyes is seen as a mark of beauty and things like this. In that part of the world and in that day and age, it wasn't. So it's not that it was seen as the antagonistic or the opposite of beauty, but it just wasn't the appeal factor. So people preferred. They always had this thing for dark eyes, almost black eyes. Hence, the Quran speaks of hur, hurun ayn. Now, hur is actually from the Arabic word, it's the plural of the Arabic word hawra. So a woman who is hawra, or a guy who's ahwar, is somebody who has, the kind of, the blackness of their eyes, it appears as almost jet black, almost. I guess also mine are almost jet black. So, and the whiteness is there's a stark, it's like bright white. So there's a stark contrast between the two. And then also their eyes are very, especially on women, big eyes and things like that. Not so much on the men, it just look weird on men. Who are you, mate? Where's the hur? Allah said you're going to get hur, but it was plural. Did he specify whether it was going to be men or women? So here you are, mate. What would you like us to do, boss? Right, so this thing of dark eyes or dark hair, black hair, that kind of contrast with, especially when it's contrasted with something fair, it has a strong contrast to it. So this was seen as incredible, like a hallmark of beauty for the Arabs. So because Imam Malik, bechara, Gora, is this gringo, Guinness, who's this gringo over here, this white kid? And he's there with his blonde hair, blue eyes, and his mum said to him, look, it's just not gonna fly. This, all right, Ty's in the house. Ahlan wa sahlan, man, you're doing it, big up. Right, so somebody said it means deep eyes, not dark. Hawra, I mean, it could be deep from the sense that, not deep as in like they're kind of submerged, as in big eyes, but it was actually to do with the blackness of the eye. Because the Arabs found that to be incredibly beautiful. In their day and age, I mean, it kind of had a contrast, as you can see. So this is why hur was, it doesn't mean that if somebody doesn't have black eyes or dark eyes that they're not beautiful. I'm just saying what the Arabs always felt, that dark hair was something very appealing. Not today. Today Arabs are mad over blonde hair, but in that day and age they didn't like the kind of ashqar thing. So Imam Malik was his mum kind of told him that, look, it's just not going to fly. People are going to look at you and say, that boy. So Imam Malik, bechara, was disheartened, and so he went away from this thing of singing. And when you know, when you can't go to music and singing, where else do you go? So he went to ilm. And lo and behold, he became a don in fiqh, to the extent that he had his own madhab. And, you know, till this day he influences people. Had he become a singer, nobody would have heard of him today. So that's the story of Imam Malik. Somebody asked, where can you read about Imam Malik? I was just thinking, I had this, where's it gone, man? I had this book, a very good kind of detailed study just on Imam Malik. I'll have to find it now. But Nadeem, that's, where can I read about the life of Imam Malik? I think he wore earrings too. That is correct, Nadeem. You're absolutely correct. Imam Malik did wear earrings. He definitely up until probably his teenage years. And then as a man, whether he continued to wear them or not, I don't know. In his senior age, I don't think he wore them then, but he never considered it haram, because otherwise, you know, he wouldn't go around wearing earrings. And his son wore an earring. So it wasn't something that Imam Malik considered haram. Now, in English, about Imam Malik, I think there was a translation on the four Imams. There's several works on Imam Malik. I just don't know if they've translated these kind of things into English. You see, you have to remember something, people. People who translate have an agenda. Unfortunately, this is the truth, right? Whether we like it or not. So let's say, for example, somebody is translating something and he sees a particular book or a particular part of that book that does not fit in line with his agenda. They may choose to leave that stuff out, or they may choose not to translate that book and one that fits more in line with their own agenda. So there is I believe in Arabic, Abdul Ghani al-Diqar, who is an amazing scholar from Damascus, one of the leading grammarian scholars of the 20th century, really. He and I had the good fortune of, you know, spending some time with him. He had an amazing sense of humor. Now, he has a book on Imam Malik. He writes in there as well about Imam Malik's earring. A lot of this stuff has been suppressed, unfortunately, because as Islam, or the Muslims, not Islam, but as Muslims progress throughout time, they start to standardize their view of Islam. And anything that appears to be slightly outside of their window of Islam, or their standardized view, they start to, you see, they don't need to lie. It's simply enough for them to just become quiet on these things. If everybody chose to become quiet on certain matters, it would just be forgotten, you see. So it's like, It's a bit like that. Imam Malik's son, I know, not Raghib, sorry, in Kitab al-Aghani by Asbahani, but that's in Arabic, he mentions this as well about his son and earrings and how Imam Malik wanted to be a singer and stuff like this. He mentions that. Several people do mention it, like Qadi Iyad mentions it in his Tartib al-Madarik about wanting to be a singer, and I think he also mentions about his son's earring, but I don't know if he mentions about Imam Malik's earrings and stuff. So yeah, I hope that's of some help. Do you know why Imam Malik stopped wearing an earring? Look, these things are not religion. You know, it's like saying, do you know why this person stopped wearing Nike at a certain stage in his life? You know, sometimes some of these matters are just not that deep. They're obviously culturally specified. So maybe a person at a certain age just chose to be different. You know, he no longer wanted to do something. It doesn't mean that he's oh my God, like Imam Malik now realized I was doing something haram. It's not like that, but it's just I don't know. You see, once again, it's not that I've read somewhere he didn't wear an earring as an old man, but it's just that I don't hear it in his description. But it could be that people just chose to leave it out, or it could be that he didn't used to wear it as an older person, as many of the... So they mention people like Sufyan ibn Uyayna, who was a great hafidh of hadith, used to attend the hadith classes whilst wearing an earring. I think what they had was, you see, like in many societies, people sometimes have a like a set, you know, like a socio stage that maybe like sometimes at a certain stage a man might start wearing suits more often, and at a certain stage he might now shift into a different kind of design, and you know, maybe a particular type of colors now they wear, and maybe at a certain age a man starts wearing a waistcoat. You know, I'm just saying. So it's in a similar way. They had their own social kind of styles. You know, Imam Malik wasn't somebody by any standard that was out of vogue. He had, in fact, they say, you know, he had something like, I read somewhere, up to hundreds of pairs of shoes. And he, although, you see, ironically, he used to be very wary wearing shoes in some parts of Medina because the Prophet had been there, out of love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that was the maqam of Imam Malik. But generally, he did wear shoes, and he had hundreds of pairs of them, hundreds, and you know, and he used to wear very expensive clothes. That was because he was quite rich, very wealthy. Imam Malik was, as was Abu Hanifa. He was rich as well. These Imams kind of spent on themselves, and you see that their attitude towards these things is chilled. Then you've got Imam Shafi'i, who was unfortunately kind of struggled financially. You know, his whole life was a struggle when it came to finances. So Imam Shafi'i, you see that in his fiqh. He's not very, he's very sometimes harsh towards certain things that are finance related. Whereas Imam Malik is always chilled, and that's because they were people of commerce. They had money, they traded. Imam Malik used to trade. He's a tradesman. Right, so... Right, what is going on? Billy is in the house. Billy, you're doing it, you're doing it. Mufti Saab, Ra has the sun god Ra. Is the sun god Ra on my life? Ya salam, Ya Allah, I've brought him to here. To this much I've done. Ab yahan se aap sambhal lijiye. I'll let you take it from here. Yeah. Touch. So the sun god Ra has asked, Mufti Saab, what's your opinion on Zakir, Naik and Korea? Who is Korea? Who Korea is? Somebody said thoughts on the incels. You know, I just came to learn, I think it was only a few months ago, what incels. If I got this incels are people who are, they choose to remain celibate. No, sorry, society has forced them to be celibate because they won't have sex. Nobody will have sex with them. Somebody's saying there's a mic problem. Un momento, un momento. Alright, is that better? I'll wait for some feedback. Let me just, where's my... Alright. Mainly vibrating. Huh? Mainly vibrating. Robocop voice. Hello, hello. Audio is still bad. This one not nice. It's sorted. No volume. No. Better. Yes. No. Abe yaar. So incels, if I've got that correct, they're people who society will not have sex with them. Hi यार क्या क़यामत गुजर रही है, you know. Yeah, wa asafa. That is a calamity indeed. That is a what can we do for these people? Are they just men, by the way? I wonder if incels can't be girls. I don't think. I'm sure everybody. I'm sure for a girl that's never a problem. I'm sure that's a problem. Just right. So I don't know what to really say. I think, yeah, we should set up some kind of like a GoFundMe page for them. We could kind of allocate sympathy, pity, kind of. Or get those robots, those sex bots that Japan has made. That should surely fix it. It's very lifelike. So I've read. You can't see that over there. So somebody said, why don't they just play with themselves? Ah, really, you nutty. Well, what game do you suggest that they play with themselves to distract themselves? So what is going on, people? They need a life coach. Yeah, I'm sure, you know, if people, okay, let me give you my thoughts. A lot of people have asked me sometimes, what do you think of things like, following on from this, what do you think of arranged marriages, like as in online arranged marriages or through contacts from abroad or from different places? You see, what I would say is that, look, a lot of the time I get people asking me, look, they're struggling with relationships, or they're struggling to find a spouse, or they're struggling to find, or I suppose like some of these incels. May the Lord have mercy. May the Lord have some mercy. Irham ya Rabb, irham. So these people, or people facing this crisis, what should they do? Now, I would say, look, there are certain people who have been very gifted. Now, let's say they happen to be very good looking, they happen to have a lot of, just many good things about them. But I would say these people are probably, a minority in society, even though they may be very loud and have a huge presence. But it's a minority within society. And then you've got many people that may just be just average, and that'll probably be most of the people. You know, just trying to, they're just your normal kind of average people. Now, and then you'll get some people who've been kind of short-strawed in society. And I'm not, this, I'm laughing out of ta'assuf, out of kind of like, feeling their pain, out of empathy. I'm laughing. This is not a, they're like, bah. They're watching this thinking, acha, cha, cha, empathy, huh? Right, so, right, so the thing is that, now, let's just say people are slightly short-strawed, for whatever reason. Short-strawed doesn't mean short-strawed. I don't mean short. They're kind of like short. Although we did have a few questions on micro-penises as well, previously. But I don't mean necessarily, but that too, we can welcome that in this category as well. Aye, aapka intezar tha. Let's give a big welcome. That's got to be a proper. They're like, don't rub it in, huh? Rub it in. Tova, tova, tova. So, look, any person who's facing any kind of difficulties, or sometimes some people, they don't have to just be short-strawed in terms of their features and things, but they, or their physical, like a physicality about something physical, but it could be about circumstances. Some people could be just stuck in certain things, that relationships just won't work for them, or certain things won't happen. And sometimes, you know, women will sometimes say, well, look, they're divorced, they've got kids, they can't quite find a decent guy, and I can't, or if I find a decent guy, then he's not good looking enough, or if he's good looking but then he's too much of a playboy, or if he's too much of this, then, you know, he doesn't want to settle down with kids, or he doesn't. And you get this in both genders, both in all 5 genders. LGBTQI, RSPCE, RSPCA. توبة توبة توبة. ماذا يحدث هنا؟ هو قارة. So my advice to these people is, why not? I'm not saying you have to do this, but why not explore? Explore from abroad or somewhere where you can tilt the kind of handicap. Sometimes I don't know where these words come to me from. I don't mean astaghfirullah, you tilt the handicapped person. I mean you can tilt the scale, as in, look, everybody in this dunya is looking out for something for themselves. Let's just be honest. Let's be real. Real talk, people. Real talk. Yeah. Now, look, men are always looking out for, you know, they will always be mesmerized by beauty. Yeah. Now, women are always looking out for other things, and beauty as well, but amongst other things. Now, why not sometimes, as an option, I'm not saying you need to, but as an option, go global, go worldwide. You know, that, look, because you would get a much better scope, a wider array of what's available worldwide. Because people, now you may say, yeah, well, the other person, let's say a woman looks for a guy in a different part of the world, and dashing stud of a guy happens to be Ridwan Abdul Karim. But he's already from the UK. Riddy, you're doing it. But now, let's say she finds a stud of a guy. Now she thinks to herself, yeah, but he only wants to come over here because of the passport. Or let's say a guy finds, some guy finds a girl that's amazing for him, and he thinks, wow, that's so, I could never, you know, marry somebody like that from, let's say, the UK, or because it would be out of my league. Because girls tend to always marry up or marry sideways. They seldom marry down. This is a rule in life, okay, people? I'm giving you some hard lessons today. Guys may marry down, girls seldom marry down. It just doesn't happen like that. They will always marry up, socially or socially speaking. So now the guy thinks, well, you know, this will be out of my league if I was to find a girl like that in America or in the US, or sorry, in the UK or Europe. Whereas here, you know, I can easily get into this relationship. Oh, but she only wants a passport. Yeah, now this, but let's be honest, let's be real. Everybody just wants something. You know, this is Daru Asbab, isn't it? Like, this is, you know, this world is one of means. Everybody's after something. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't make a good relationship out of it. I'm sure you can. I'm sure it's very plausible and possible. It's not, you know, so I don't know, like, I think, because sometimes I've had people say these things to me, ask me as questions, and I think, well, what about if you kind of branched out? I've just thought this a lot of the time, that, you know, you don't need to go global, go worldwide. I mean, nowadays everybody speaks English, but these are my thoughts. Have you seen your face like Diablo? All right, yeah, hell yeah. I say I've said I'm the devil incarnate anyway, so it doesn't. Right, the Duke has asked a question. Just coming back to the Ra's question, and then I'll move to Duke. Where's your question gone? Duke's question is modern day bank interest the same as riba in the Quran? So, right, so I hope that's of some help, people. But don't explore. But I do feel that, look, sometimes situations can put people, they can put the odds against them, but they can always level the plane if they think out of the box. All right, so first of all, about Zakir Naik, what do I think about Zakir Naik? I mean, I'm not a huge fan of his work or anything. I'm sure he's done a lot of good. You see, I thought Zakir Naik was the kind of religion comparative scholar that, you know, in that sense he was great. He was a follow-on from Ahmed Didat. Then he kind of went on to become a quasi scholar of Islam. The problem with this was, it was just spreading that same very dogmatist kind of view, the very Salafi, you know, I'm a doctor, I know everything, you know, evolution is nonsense, this is this, I'm a medical doctor, you know, you can't, and these kind of things make they don't show Islam in a good light. That's what I think anyway. So I'm not too fond of that kind of da'wah. Somebody, what's going on? Mufti thoughts, what am I here? Mufti, oh damn, what do you, yep, what's going on? Mufti into interracial marriage. I mean, to any marriage, it's all good, man, it's all good. So, what's going on? What's going on? Mufti, looks like you're growing a fistful beard. I'm not actually, but I just thought, you know, sometimes, you know, you gotta kind of surprise people. I thought, let's do it like this for one day, and then shaving is something standard I do almost every day anyway. Have you ever got gout pain on big toe? What? No, I haven't, alhamdulillah. I don't know. That is a really strange question, Siraj. I'm concerned about the kind of interest you're taking. So, right, let me see. Oh, right. Before we go for some other questions, let me just bring up this bean, people. I've got to Just one moment. Right, we've had this week the passing away of a scholar who spent a lifetime, he's from the UK, senior, spent a lifetime dedicated to this deen, Allama Khalid Mahmood Saab. May Allah have mercy on him and bless him in the afterlife. And it's not about whether we agreed with his opinions or not, but it's about the fact that he was a very well-respected senior figure, and he's passed away. He was somebody relatively open-minded. He'd studied with people like Kandilwi Saab, with Sayyid Suleiman Nadwi, Mufti Shafi, the father of Mufti Taqi. So he'd kind of studied with him, and he's apparently written over 100 published works. So that in and of itself is something just so breathtaking. And that includes things like he's got some works on the tafsir, Athar al-Tanzil, something on hadith of a similar title, Athar al-Hadith, Athar al-Ihsan. That title kind of, he took that in a lot of his works. So may Allah have mercy on him. He passed away. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And on that note, there was also, I'd come to learn that Sheikh Zakir Saab from Birmingham, who I consider a friend, a good friend. I mean, Allahu A'lam, I consider a good friend. Sheikh Zakir might think. But no, on this I'd come to learn that he'd also suffered a huge loss, the loss of his mother, who's passed away. May Allah have mercy on her soul, and may Allah grant him ease and his family ease. May Allah grant her an elevated maqam in Jannatul Firdaus. Things like this are a huge they're a huge loss and a huge tragedy, and the shock factor, I'm sure is unfathomable. May Allah bless everybody in their family life that still has an opportunity to benefit from their parents, and those who have passed away, may Allah elevate their maqam in Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen. So I just wanted to say that. Right, so what is going on, people? What is going on? And the question was highlighted. Somebody said, I put up a question and it was, what was your... Oh, Mufti, what do you think about Hizb ut-Tahrir? All right, Rapid Eagle, you're doing it, you're doing it. Right, so Hizb ut-Tahrir are, they are a cancer for this ummah. And it's somebody who, it's a group who are obsessed with a false nostalgia, a kind of romanticized image of Islamic history. They clearly have not read Islamic history. In fact, their hallmark is a lack of scholarship. The only thing they can boast about is not having any ulama. They don't have any scholars. And the thing about them is they are so, they spend an entire lifetime just going on, banging on about this right, so now they spend an entire lifetime dedicated to things like let's set up what would we do once we have a caliphate? What are the offices going to be called? Oh, this is the Ministry of Justice, this is the Ministry of this is how as if that's how Islamic history was. And that's ridiculous, it's nothing but, it was not, they neither live in the present, nor the future, nor the past. These people are just ridiculous. All right, so now that's what these people are. So I mean, I would say that right now, I would say, avoid them like the plague. Seriously, if you've got young people around you who are becoming influenced by them, I'd be very wary. They are an extremist organization. They are not currently extreme. They're not currently violent extremists in this part of the world, but they are extremists. Okay, so 100%. And they are people who, if given the chance, they would legitimize bloodshed, massacre. In fact, in their works, they actually speak about in Muslim lands, people should take over by any means necessary. This is what their works say. And in certain papers, in certain books, they kind of pioneers speak of, even if like people should do military coup d'etats, even if it leads to countless bloodshed, they say it's worth it. So beware of these kind of nutcases. They are nothing but the Khawarij of this day and age. Cool. So that's my thoughts on them. And anybody, anybody that's associated with them, be very wary. Like you get these kind of 5 pillars and things like this. Be very wary of these people. They are the same people who praise Osama bin Laden. They are the same people. If I remember reading on a few years back on the posts of some of these people, how they find Osama bin Laden to be one of the most inspirational figures of recent Islamic history. They find, these people are so obsessed with this bloodthirsty kind of culture. They are a virus in the body of this ummah. That's what I would say. So, never support them on things like that. That's my thoughts. Obviously, I mean, they can do whatever they want, but that's what my thoughts on this matter. Cool. All right. So, you're most welcome, Rapid Eagle. You're doing it. People, right, so, let me just see. Sorry, one moment. Right, so, all right, let's deal with un momento, people. Right, all right. So, I'm just bringing up some questions as well. Let me take a look. People have been posting. Okay. All right. There you go. People, if you are trolling, do be wary. You will get blocked. Right. Okay. I've blocked some of those trolls on Facebook. Right. So let's move on to some other questions, people. Before we do, Nadeem, you've asked a question. What were the errors, flaws in the Mu'tazilite creed? Right. That's a very good question. Now, you see, I've been asked this by quite a few people about what is right, that what is the problem with the Mu'tazila? Now, you see, you have to understand the Mu'tazila were in essence an extremist organization, an extremist group. They were people that were quasi-takfiris. They believed that Muslims, by committing sins, were kafirs. You have to remember that. Okay, so that is always very important. Then they had a very rational side to them as well. And the problem with the theological Cold War was that it led Sunni scholars to sometimes become much more dogmatic as a counter. And I've got a detailed video explaining that previously. But the Mu'tazila, in essence, believed that if anybody committed a sin, they were no longer a Muslim, but they weren't a kafir either. They created a purgatory state and placed them in that. Right, so, all right, people, all right. So, I will also, I know I've been asked this question on several occasions, and I did say to somebody I'll answer tonight. They, again, I have answered it before. They've said, look, about my kind of change over the years, and I will kind of explain that. I know it's shocked a lot of people. I don't know why, but yeah. Oh, I haven't. Yeah, I've got a poem for you guys. You know, I came across a poem. Speaking of poetry, people, I came across this book. I was digging up some old material at home, and I came across this book called أروع ما قيل في الحب والغزل. And I'll go through just one, two kind of things in this, but this is, I've had this now. I brought this maybe in my first trip abroad when I was studying, had gone to seek knowledge at the age of 18. And it accompanied me right throughout my travels for the next 7, 8 years that I was out there. I had this with me, and I used to read through it, and wow, you know, it brought back some memories, people, and I'll share one, two of them. But I'd also come across this poem in Urdu, people. Wah, 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 wah. Right. Now this, I'm not quite sure who wrote this, because I've read some variations, and I wasn't sure. But, and it's a kind of what they call almost shi'run hur, that it's slightly, it's not constricted to a meter, it's not metric all the way through. It's slightly, it has its liberties. And I'll just read through it, and then hopefully you guys can understand. It's not a complex one. It's in Urdu. Chal aa ek aisi nazam kahun, jo lafz kahun wo ho jaye. Main aah likhun, tu aa jaye. Main baith likhun, tu aa baithe. Mere shane par sar rakhe tu. Shane, he's talking about the shoulders. Mere shane pe sar rakhe tu. मैं नींद कहूं तू सो जाए. मैं कागज पर तेरे होंठ लिखूं, तेरे होंठों पर मुस्कान आए. मैं दिल लिखूं तो दिल थम जाए. मैं गुम लिखूं वो खो जाए. तेरे हाथ बनाऊं पेंसिल से, फिर हाथ पे तेरे हाथ रखूं. कुछ उल्टा सीधा फर्ज करूं, कुछ सीधा उल्टा हो जाए. मैं आह लिखूं तू हाय करे, हाय हाय. मैं आह लिखूं तू हाय करे. बेचैन लिखूं तो बेचैन हो तू. फिर मैं बेचैन का बे काटूं. ओए किसने बे ने पीछा लगी गया था ओए. बे ओए फिर मैं बेचैन का बे काटू. क्या आखिरिया बंदा होए. बे in our language means mother. बे की क्या करी दिया. This is but here बे is the harf ba. फिर मैं बेचैन का बे काटूं तुझे चैन जरा सा हो जाए. अभी ऐन लिखूं आइन, अभी ऐन लिखूं तू सोचे मुझे, फिर शीन लिखूं तेरी नींद उड़े, जब काफ लिखूं तुझे कुछ कुछ हो, मैं इश्क लिखूं तुझे हो जाए. Wow, that was honestly, I came across this, I was like, wow, that is amazing. And that what he spelt for the dyslexic people out there. You gotta kind of cater for everybody. They're probably going, huh? Akash, Akash, Akash kya hota hai? Ishq, ishq. He's spelling it out at the end. He says, Abhi ain likhu, ain, tu soche mujhe, फिर शीन लिखूं तेरी नींद उड़े, जब काफ लिखूं तुझे कुछ कुछ हो, मैं इश्क लिखूं तुझे हो जाए. Wow, 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 people. That is amazing. I just loved that. I came across that and I was like, wowed. Like, wow, 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 wow. But yes, I was going to say that this brought back some amazing memories, people. أروع ما قيل في الحب والغزل. And it's basically it's a collection of just different poets and some select poems of these. And it just goes right from, I believe it begins from pre-Islam right up until the 20th century. Amazing poets in there, poems. You've got different kind of, it's got some sketches in there. Ka'b ibn Zuhair, Banat Qalb, you know, the famous Banat Su'adu fa qalbi al-yawma matbulu mutayyimun ithraha lam yufta makbul. Very famous poem that was said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But it was about love, somebody said it. That's in there. The famous poems of Yazid ibn Muawiyah are in there. There's just so many. And you know, the Majnoonu Layla is in there. Jamilu Buthaina is in there. You've got like, these are the kind of Romeos of that era. You've got the famous Umar ibn Abi Rabi'a, you know, the playboy of Makkah and Medina back in the time of the Tabi'een. So he was born in 23 Hijri and he passes away 93 Hijri. So he passes away the year Imam Malik is born. That's how classic he is. And he was Qurayshi, from Quraysh, and somebody very wealthy. And he does travel, but he resides also in the holy cities as well. But he's very well known for always trying to woo the women, and he's the author of the statement Salamun alayha ma ahabbat salamana. فَإِن كَرِهَتْهُ فَالسَّلَامُ عَلَى أُخْرَى. He's the one who says that, you know, Salamun alayha ma ahabbat salam, as long as she wants our salam. If she doesn't want it, then salam upon another. But yeah, he was an amazing poet, and he's got all of these. And I was reading through this again. I just came across it this weekend, and it just brought back so many memories. Wow, honestly, it just blast from the past, people. Oh my God, you know, something like that I used to read 20 years ago, and over 20 years ago, and when I saw it now, I was like, wow. أيام مضت كخيال سبحان الله أبالواقع عشناها. Were they real? Now it almost seems, you know, that they, you know, when I think of them, some of those days, it just seems like, did they actually happen? There is a very interesting poem. I'll read one to you, or part of it. There's a poet by the name of Rashid Al-Khawri. Now, he writes a poem called Bayna Sadaqati wal Hub, between friendship and love. And this is about him. He visits his friend in Brazil, I think. And he's an Arab. And he ends up kind of falling for his friend's wife. He love triangle, alright, triangle. What is this, huh? What's the kabhi alvida na kehna? That's what's going on, people. They're triangulating the signal, you know, triangulating the signal. All right, Dervish, you're doing it. So, and he writes this poem where, you know, he spends this time there and he really becomes infatuated with her, and then in the end she's on it. She's on it as well, but at that stage he feels that this is wrong, that, you know, this, I can't be really doing this. So yeah, that's it's, let me just see here. Right, so he feels so he kind of declines politely her offer. But it's an amazing poem. وَفَاتِنَةٍ كَأَنَّ اللَّهَ لَمَّا حَبَاهَا الْحُسْنَ مَا رَاعَ الْحِسَابَ. Allah! He says that, such a woman of beauty, that when Allah granted it to her beauty, he clearly didn't keep any count, like it was unrestricted. برازيلية وطنا ولكن إلى الأعراب تنتسب انتسابا. And he speaks about her and everything, and لها لحظ سألت عن المنايا ولا حذني فلم أطلب جوابا. And he speaks about her beauty and the way, you know, one of her looks could kill, if looks could kill people. But then he speaks about, you know, when I was gonna leave, the problem here, he says ولكن الحبيبة ذات بعل. The problem is that she, my darling, has got a husband. حسبت لحق صحبته حسابا. That, you know, somebody who is also dear to me. أباح لي الصداقة مطمئنا وأعطاني ودا مستطابا إذا نادى الهوى والعقل يوما. الله. فصوت العقل أولى أن يجاب. That is such an epic line of his, you know. He says this friend who really honored me during all these times. So he says, so if the heart and the mind or the intellect ever clash, then it's always the voice of reason that you should go with. Because he speaks about, she finally kind of was on board, that she kind of wrote to him, that she writes it in a kind of handkerchief. He says وَلَفَّتْهُ بِمِنْدِيلٍ بَدِيعٍ, that she wrote a message in a handkerchief. تضمن لي دعاء مستجابا. الله الله الله. تقول حماك ربي يا حبيبي بربك لا تطل عنا غيابا. That is, wow. And that's when he says to her, you know, he says, I can't. He says, no puedo. He says, سامحيني لا أقدر, I can't do this. So no es posible. You just can't, yeah, but I came across that, I thought, wow, you know, it brought back so many memories. I thought I'd share it with you guys. Guys, let's get back to some of your questions. What is going on, people? What is going on? Right, let me see. Right. I've got to. Okay. Sorry, I was just trying to click this, clear it. Right, so right. Right, okay, so, right, sorry about that, got a bit distracted there. Right, let's take a look at some of your questions, people. What is going on? Laylatul Qadr. Right, okay, that Abu Saif guy has been blocked. Don't worry about that. Right, so what is going on? When is Laylatul Qadr? Laylatul Qadr, I've answered this before. You know, it is people will generally go with it's in the odd nights of the last 10 days. Alhamdulillah, it helps people focus, so that's fine. That's good. People tend to say it's the 27th, and you know, we haven't really got a problem with that. It's all good. What do I think of Jordan Peterson? I think he's amazing. Right, I think he is somebody who has really brought back in mainstream this thing of it's okay to believe in God, you know, because unfortunately it was almost embarrassing to say you believe in God. And people like Jordan Peterson have really brought that back, that look, you can believe in God. It's not, you know, if you're going to call it absurd, it's as absurd as any belief. You know, in the belief in saying, well, I don't believe in this, or I don't believe in a God. That's also just a narrative. It's a belief construct. So, well, even I'm not saying it's a religion, but it's a belief construct, unquestionably. To say that, look, and it's not the absence of a belief construct. It is in and of itself a belief construct in saying that I believe that there does not need to be a creator to this creation that I believe, because obviously we're not witnessing it. So it's a belief that I believe that this could somehow organically arise from nothing. At T0, at time zero, it just kind of popped into being and created. There was a kind of a cosmic dust that creates. This is a belief structure, whether you like it or not. It is equally a belief structure. One could say, well, anything ex nihilo, out of nothing, is an absurdity logically. So that is equally absurd. So people like Peter Jordanson, he has given us a huge kind of a huge contribution to this discourse, really. Yeah. So I totally love what what his works, his videos. I would especially, there's a debate between Jordan and Sam Harris on. It's in Vancouver, and that is an amazing, something that I would say is a must for theology students. Yep, alright, let's move on, people. What is going on? What is going on? Sorry, I know I said it backwards whilst I was talking. I did say it correctly as well, Jordan Peterson, but I said it. Chalta hai yaar, it happens. My mind is a cascade of just chaos. Right, so let's take a look at some questions whilst you guys are posting here. What about people who've already submitted on Facebook? Let me bring up their questions. So, people who've already put it on my profile. There's only two questions here. One is by Isa Ali. Is deer and rabbit meat from supermarkets halal? Rabbits die by suffocation when they are caught in snares. Last week you said using snares is fine. Wah. Well, if I knew, uh, well, if I knew that you were gonna keep tabs on me, I wouldn't have said it. uh, is Allah an atheist? What? Right, so, okay. Yeah, so deer and rabbit meat. You know, this halal meat thing is a whole huge discussion in and of itself that has many layers to it. Okay. I do feel it's a complex discussion. That what is, when I say halal, it's actually not the best word. Dhabiha is a better word. Okay, because dhabiha speaks of dhabiha will speak of things like just moving this along. One moment. Let me bring that up to there. Alright, so dhabiha is slaughtered or sacrificed meat. Now this, you know, to many people is like saying, well, yeah, that's what they refer to when they say halal. The question with that, or the problem, is that halal means which is permitted. Now, many things are halal, but they're not sacrificed. And I spoke as an example, fishing is not, you know, anything from the sea, any hunted animal isn't actually sacrificed. Ritually speaking, it's just halal. So what do I think of the dhabiha meat? I'm definitely supportive, in support of the dhabiha meat, but I feel that in essence the dhabiha meat had an objective, and it was double layered. The primary layer of the primary focus of the dhabiha meat was to create a distinction between Muslims and non-Muslims, the polytheists of the Prophet's time. In the Prophet's time, the mushrikeen of the Arab and other parts of the world would offer sacrifices to their pagan gods. Now, any meat that they used to offer, it became obligatory for Muslims to demarcate and distinguish their offerings by always mentioning the name of God upon sacrificing those animals. Now, this was the primary focus. Now, those people, the polytheists of Arabia, did not used to offer wild animals as offerings. So wild or offer fishes, for example, marine food, it wasn't something, sea food wasn't an offering. It was only kind of docile creatures, goats, sheep, camels, cows, maybe, things like that were offered. They didn't have chickens, by the way. So in the Prophet's surroundings, in that part of Arabia, generally speaking, chickens were not found. So I'm not saying chickens didn't exist. Of course they existed in the world, but they weren't in abundance in Arabia, not in the Hijaz. So hence you don't see the Prophet speaking about chickens or speaking about things like chicken food often or things like that. But the companions do speak about chickens later on as they branch out, as they move towards other parts of the Middle East and things like that, Byzantine territory, when they take over, they conquer the Persian territories, they do find chickens and things like that. Hence, some of them speak about then sacrificing a chicken for Eid, whereas the Prophet would never have said that. Now, the Prophet wouldn't have said about sacrificing chickens or things like this, and I know it became a debate between the Salafis, and I know it became a debate between the Salafis and the rest of the madhabs, because they spoke about you can sacrifice chickens and on Big Eid, then you can do this, and people turned it into a kind of mockery. But yeah, but coming back to the point, so in the Prophet's time, the animals that were given as pagan offerings, Muslims were mandated to always mention Allah's name before sacrificing them. This was the kind of the fine point of demarcation, the kind of delineating factor that distinguished Muslims from kuffar, especially mushrikeen. Now the issue was, okay, what about hunting? Well, because that was never a pagan offering, so Muslims were not obligated to kind of make a sacrifice of them or a ritual, that it's okay, yeah, fine, mention Allah's name, but you just need to shoot an arrow. You don't even need to shoot an arrow, you can send a hunting dog, and the dog would kill the animal. So, you know, even if you say, look, with an arrow, one could say, okay, you said Bismillah as you let go of the arrow, fine, but when you release a dog and you say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, you know, the dog has to chase after the prey, and the prey would run for its life, literally, and the dog would have to catch it. Now, there would be easily, you know, there may be a few minutes lapse between the dog actually catching the prey and between you saying Bismillah. So it was then just a kind of like a gesture. Hence, you get sometimes some people didn't say Bismillah. Like maybe they forgot, or maybe they slacked, or maybe they... And there was the verse of the Quran, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا لَمْ يَذْكُرِ اسْمَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ, that, you know, do not eat from that which Allah's name has not been mentioned above. There is this verse of the Quran. But is this speaking of the pagan food, or is it speaking of all food? So you have the hadith that some of the Arabs, they came to the Prophet and said, well, look, we've got this meat, and they gave some meat, and the Prophet was distributing it, and somebody said, well, you know, when they sacrificed it, they forgot to say, they didn't say Bismillah. And the Prophet said, well, but they're Muslim, so it's fine. Kulhu. The Prophet said, say Bismillah and eat. Because the Prophet knew that, there is the polytheist factor doesn't exist here. So this is why it was really just all about particular animals that were offerings, pagan offerings. Wild animals were never really, or these kind of things like rabbits and lizards and I don't know, whatever, turtles and this kind of stuff were never offerings. So they didn't really seem to care much about them. They said, yeah, say Bismillah, but it wasn't really anywhere on the radar. So, the next layer of dhabiha meat is that it creates an identity factor. This identity glues together a Muslim collective. So we worldwide now feel that we have some connection with each other. We all eat halal or dhabiha meat. This kind of creates a kind of bond. So the identity factor still remains today. However, the first factor, I feel, isn't actually present today, because nobody really makes pagan offerings anymore. Apart from, you know, nobody offers animals to their gods, apart from Muslims and Jews, but that's it, people of the book. But generally speaking, people don't do that anymore. So this brings into question this whole thing of, could you eat the meat from, like, in these countries and things like this? What I would say is that, or could you eat, for example, somebody has asked, hunted meat. So I would say that, look, the identity factor still remains. So it is very important, I feel, to stress that halal kind of dhabiha meat, and to generally always go by that. That is my kind of advice as Muslims, to always generally go by that. However, this other meat, like rabbit meat that was hunted, or deer meat, or things like this, I would feel that it isn't, whether it's good or not, maybe a debate, but I wouldn't feel that it would be haram, because it wouldn't fall under any of those categories of like an offering, and it's seen as kind of almost like exotic meat. So I hope that makes some sense in what I'm trying to say. That look, halal in brackets or in speech marks, the dhabiha meat should still be a priority for Muslims, and it should be something that we support and are behind, and what we eat generally speaking. However, these other meats, like things that are hunted or things that are even if they're done by non-Muslims, would it make it haram? I would say, well, because it doesn't really fall under either. It doesn't, definitely not a pagan offering meat, and it's not really considered an identity thing to that extent, like rabbit meat, because you don't really offer it as a sacrifice anyway. So if somebody else hunted it and they weren't Muslim, but they weren't hunting it in the name of, I don't know, in the name of Zeus or in the name of something like that, Darius or something, then it's not so much of an issue. That's what I would feel. So that's my ruling on that. Cool. Right, so what is going on, people? What is going on? The Norse gods, there are a rise of polytheism in certain areas. There are, but it's not real. Like, I understand that, look, people are trying to prop up like the Norse culture, and do you know why this is? I'll tell you why this is. It's because people have reached a certain stage in life that they want a sense of belonging. And they want that culture, like, because Western civilization has got over that religious dictatorship of the church. That's been finished. It's been eliminated. Now there is a huge void for religion, for that kind of sense of the gods are watching over us, or that God is, because this is such a powerful narrative that Muslims and other people of religion have. So you start to see that some people want that, so they try, it's becoming fashionable again. So it is there, but it's not on that global scale, and it will never be on that global scale. It never was. Norse culture was never a global religion. It was a religion, but for the Norse people, but it was never a kind of proselytizing faith. Cool, people. What else is going on? Alright. Yeah, and somebody said it's because of Hollywood. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Hollywood has played a huge role in that. Cool, people. Some of you are posting your questions. Feel free to post them. I am checking them. I can't seem to scroll backwards on the Facebook questions here. I can see them only as they appear. But the YouTube ones, I can scroll back. So, people, and those of you sending your supportive super chats, you're doing it. Much love. Right, so what is going on? Somebody said they love Greek. Inaya, I love Greek mythology. Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. I love learning about this stuff. But I mean, there's a difference about actually believing and just being fascinated. Right, so what is going on, people? Can you be contacted over Snapchat? I think maybe try Instagram is a better way to contact me. Right, so it's okay, Mufti, we're pointing out our trolls. Who are the trolls? Anybody trolling, give me a shout. I'll get them blocked. Mock and block, people, mock and block. Were there any pointers that just in case I forget? Oh, right, so right now let's take 1-2 questions. I am going to go through the Eid prayers as well, just explain what that is, because Eid is coming up, and some of you, what are the rulings to do with that? I'll give that a few moments. We'll come to that in just a little while. Peoples. So, within Greek mythology, there is a figure called Uranus. Uranus, alright. You're doing it. Right, so, wudu after burping. Aye, Osman, you're doing it, you're doing it. There is no wudu after things like that. Wudu is only done after going to the toilet. Okay, simply put. Right, guys, before I forget, I've started to air once again some of my archive videos. I've done a whole entire course in the past on the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani. I've aired 2 videos. It's on YouTube, called Risala, the section dealing with creed, belief. Do check that out. What I will be doing is, in the future, with the Risala, I'll probably try and air it maybe twice a week. And what I'll do is, the lesson that's covered, in the end of it, I'll try and maybe do maybe something like a 20-minute kind of like an adage at the end. And what I'll do is deal with maybe some questions that have come up during that. I mean, it's not so much a Q&A, but maybe just add to it. So I'm already doing a commentary on the Risala. This will be like adding further notes. It's a further annotation upon my commentary. A hashia. I'm doing a hashia upon my sharah, upon the Risala. So I'll add to it. And also, because these videos were made some 8 years ago, 7 years ago, my views have sometimes changed. So what I'll do is, if my views have changed, I'll try and highlight that. Maybe sometimes I'll forget it, there'll be an oversight, but I will try to highlight and add a bit more detail to the whole discussion. It's already very detailed, but I'll try and add a bit more. Cool. So that's what's going down, people. So do check that out. Similarly, I've also put up a lesson on Quranic Arabic. I've got an entire course on that as well. It is by Dr. it was based on Dr. Surti's book. I don't know, I've got it somewhere, but I will be airing that as well, probably once or twice a week. So all of you that have been asking to learn Arabic, now is your opportunity. I think there will be certain PDF. I mean, the book is available if you purchase it online, but I will, within the video, I think there will be kind of the lesson that is being covered anyways, that you can screenshot and kind of catch up with. Worst case scenario, if that makes sense. Cool. So don't forget to check that out, people, and spread the love. So people saying, look, I'm not teaching fiqh, I'm not teaching stuff, I'm putting a huge amount of, a plethora of resources out there. Similarly, tomorrow night I will be on Mind Trap again. I'll have a guest, Atif. All right, big muscles. Atif, those of you that know Atif from Brum, who I call the Muslim Pitbull, but the Muslim version of Pitbull. All right, just he resembles him a bit in his looks and style, that's all, but the hench version, right? He's got biceps out there. I'm telling you, this is nothing. Like, if I was to stand next to him, I'd just be embarrassed. Right, so I'll have him on tomorrow night, so do check that out. Right now, I'd been asked, somebody's asked a question: what caste do you belong to? Whoa. Caste question. Caste. Mullah. We is Jat. Mullah Jat. Those of you that are familiar with the Jat clan, that's us. That's what we are. We're from that. Its origins were, I think, in the Punjab, but a huge amount of Azad Kashmir is, I read somewhere 80% of Azad Kashmir is actually Jat. And also the title that is used sometimes is Chaudhry's, but the actual thing is Jat, of Jat origin. I'm sure there's a lot of mix in there along the way, but yeah. Anyway, what is going down? Right, so since I'm speaking about myself, right, this one, people, this one. people have asked me, some people have watched my clip. Now I'm going to speak about a few words on my development. Some people have come across my clip in the past. There's a clip around somewhere online of when I'd come back and they saw this, what the hell? And they've been absolutely shocked. Inaya saying, Mufti, someone said I'm a hippie Muslim because of you. A happy Muslim because of me, right? So what they'd done is they'd come across this, and it kind of shocked them that they thought, well, you know, how can it be that, let me just, un momento, let me just bring this over here, people. Right, so you can see they saw this picture of me, right, that you're going to see across the screen now. And it kind of shocked the hell out of them that, what the hell? They saw that and they thought, well, how did he go from that thing over there to this thing over here? So it really kind of surprised them, and they said, well, you know, a lot of people, and this talk that I'm doing over here, that you can see, this talk is, it's a bit of a kind of morbid talk as it is. So I'm speaking about things like, I think it was about death, and about kind of benefiting and seeking knowledge and things like that. So it's had a few people kind of flabbergasted over it, like, what the hell happened? And people have thrown up their theories. What happened? How did you change? Why did you lose this Iman, this faith of yours? Why did you, I know, and you felt you lost out in life. And they're trying to psychoanalyze me, and they want to fit me in some kind of standard that they've got in their minds. So several people, and you've got the haters, but you've got several people who've legitimately asked me that, look, what is going on? What happened? So, okay, let me just shed a bit of light on that. You see, when you see that picture of me, this, where I'm speaking at this conference and I've got the hat on, and I had come back from my travels abroad. I believe it was that year, that was more or less very soon after I'd kind of come back from traveling abroad. So there's two things to focus on here. One is my look, my appearance, and two is the personality. So my attitude, how I kind of behave, okay. So the outlook, the actual look in terms of my hat and wearing a hat and having a beard, let's say around the sides and things like this, this was not something that I suddenly changed. It was not like one day I woke up and I just kind of just took a blade and shaved my beard, and I took off the hat and changed my clothes, and it wasn't like that at all. That what you're looking at, this kind of picture, it is, if I can, right, if I show you this, right, just to bring this back, right, this what you're looking at right here, this is something, this is in 2005, yeah. It is 15 years ago from today. It's something, you know, almost a lifetime ago. Now, the change, people are saying, well, Mufti, how did you change? What happened? Was it an event? Was it an incident? Was it a midlife crisis? Was it something, a lack of fulfillment? A lack of desires, a lack of, I don't know, what was it? It was nothing like this. It was simply life. Life is what it was. Do you understand? It's not, look, you have to understand these things, that life is what happened. These things did not happen overnight. It took years in the development, my furthering my knowledge, consolidating my learning, grappling with concepts, discussing, dialogues, debates, months, years of dealing with ideas, broadening my horizons. I've read so much more since I came back. Obviously I used to read there as well when I studied. I studied for something like 7 years abroad. I was out of this country for more or less like 7 or 8 years. I was out of this country with very few visits back. Maybe I only visited twice whilst I was away, and other than that I just stayed abroad. I was in Damascus for a couple of years, and I was in Pakistan. I was in Damascus I think a year and a half, and then in Pakistan the rest of the time in different places, Islamabad, then Karachi. And now you are restricted, and a person grows with their environment. Now you will grow to certain heights depending on where you are. As your horizons change, so will your conceptual horizons. When I was back here, I pursued further academic learning. I pursued a degree in psychology. I once again came across a broad range of people. I pursued a degree in a teaching degree. I taught philosophy at A level. I had to study philosophy, Western philosophy, in Western institutes at university. I did a master's. I spoke with my professor, kind of had discussions back, forth, thought about things. I pondered over a lot of this psychology that I was learning, and I met different people, and there was a gradual conceptual metamorphosis over those years. I mean, it wasn't like one day I woke up and this happened. This took years. I mean, probably, I would say arguably, probably about initially 4 years, maybe something like that, 4 years, at least between 3 to 4 years to some change that you saw. It wasn't necessarily like this, but it was more than probably about 60%. That probably took about 3-4 years when I was back. All that kind of thinking, a lot of thought went into these kind of things about what does this actually mean. Confidence as well, confidence about ideas. This was incredibly important because, when you're in the madrasa, the issue was this, that you see, I was always, by the way, when it comes to personality, it wasn't bad influence. Actually, a lot of the Muslim friends I had here, they were actually very traditional. Like they had, long beards. Many of them have still got very long beards till now. A lot of my close friends still have much longer beards than me. They still casually dress in jubbas, shalwar kameez, do things like that. They're still very... See, this is the thing about my circle of friends. They're not actually... somebody... I'm not like like some kind of peer sahib for them. You understand? Like they live their own lives. They do their own thing, their own kind of spiritual growth. They're not dependent on me in any way. So, yeah, at that time, I kind of I thought about concepts. This thing I wanted to say about confidence in ideas. You see, it hinges on your outlook. Now, you see, people who've watched this video clip of me speaking about death and seeking knowledge, I'm very serious in that. So they assume that that's how I used to be. You see, now this that they are mistaken. I was nothing. That was not my persona. I used to, as much, my persona was very similar to how it is now. I used to crack jokes all the time. I used to have a crazy sense of humor. I used to have like different opinions all the time. I was I was a maverick in my opinions. I was very, these things were still me, but you are watching a clip where I wasn't quite, one, the topic was quite morbid. I'm very serious about seeking knowledge. Two, I was still finding myself in how to develop, how to give speeches. Because at that stage, I was very young, and I was told that if you give a speech, you can't be cracking too many jokes in a speech. This is what I was told, yeah. Now, like I gave speeches in Pakistan, I gave speeches in my institute, I gave speeches in Arabic, I gave speeches that were televised on Pakistan TV at certain points. I remember the Home Secretary of Pakistan visited our madrasa. I gave the speech in English. Now, I gave the graduation speech in our year when we graduated in Dawratul Hadith, and there were at least 3,000 people present. I was one of the people that gave the speech. So, you see, I was kind of molded and told off that don't crack jokes when you're speaking. So, okay, so I kind of inhibited that side during speech delivery. Because this is how I was told in the madrasa. No, you're not allowed to do this when you give a speech. You have to play a particular part. You have to put on a mask when you give a speech. You have to be serious. So I did. So when I gave that speech, I was still in that mode. What happened in the years that followed, and another thing about madrasa is, you know, when you have your fiqh opinions, I used to have a lot of maverick opinions. A lot of the people around you were absolute kind of like, they were people who, they were absolute joy kills when it came to independent thought. They hated people having their critical thought. The teachers, the students, they used to, I mean, people will tell you that even now that knew me from the madrasa days, that he used to even then always have these kind of strange opinions. It's not something I developed when I came back. And even then I was very kind of out of the mold by their standards, not by the UK standards, but by Pakistan madrasa standards. But the problem was there was so much of a knockback. Every time you disagreed, people hated on you. Everybody hated on you. Now, you see, you live there. You don't have somewhere to go back to. You live in that institute. Your teachers are there. The fellow classmates are there, your friends are there. This is life. This is the world. Now, whether you like it or not, and you're still young, you see, you haven't actually found yourself entirely in adulthood yet. You know, you're still searching your path. Now, facing constant criticism is harsh. It's difficult. You know, people always telling you what the hell's wrong with you. You know, you're not allowed to think like that. This is haram. This is, you know, what you're doing is dal, mudil, gumrahi. You're becoming misled, misguided, and constantly getting this knockback. So you have to kind of, you're not 100% confident in always promoting these views that you have, or these kind of thought, because you haven't fully matured in them. Now, when I came back here and I then had a different circle, I had my circle of friends who I used to discuss, religious friends, non-Muslims, universities, taught in colleges, I taught in schools, I gave private classes. I started to mix with different ulama, I started to read things, I started to discuss with professors. I started to develop, like there was a maturity in the confidence in promoting these views, in being true to yourself now. And that journey of being true to yourself, you know, to thine own self, be true. This probably took me something like, from that point, it may have began probably the year after, maybe like in 2006, 2007 it began properly. And it would have lasted for at least a decade, I feel. That at least till about 2017 maybe. It was a very long process, these things. It wasn't something overnight and gaining a lot of, trust and do you need validation from other scholars? Don't you need validation? Do you need this? Don't you need this? Yeah, so it wasn't something about, oh, you never got to, oh, you came back and your parents, as a kid, your parents never let you, your parents forced you to go to madrasa. My parents never forced me to go to madrasa. My parents flipped when I told them I wanted to go to madrasa. They were really anti this whole me going to study. They weren't from this kind of scene, and they didn't like that as a. So I actually had to fight. I had to put up a huge resistance to study. It wasn't something easy. And my family were never religious anyway. And I never went to madrasa as a kid. I went to a secondary school, I went to a college. We just chilled out, did our normal stuff. So with this video, in terms of personality, yes, it's developed to some extent like everybody, but it hasn't actually changed. It's just in that video you can't tell because I was taught that this is how you give speeches, you don't crack jokes. The other thing is, in terms of how I looked, yes, that has changed, but it didn't change overnight. It changed with my views over many years, spanning over a decade. But I wanted to kind of put this out there because a lot of people have asked me, and I thought, fair enough, this is, it's something very, I'm sure it's interesting to some people, and especially in letting them know that, look, it's okay. Honestly, what kind of a life would I be living if I was exactly the same as I was if my thought processes were like in 2005? If you think today, if your knowledge and your awareness and your critical skills and the information you have and you are exactly how you were, I don't mean you've aged, but not mentally and not conceptually since 2005 or since 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, then what is the point of your existence? Are you just trying to contribute carbon dioxide to the plants? I mean, what is the point of you? Yeah, so cool. I hope that's it helps, because I would say, look, do not succumb to peer pressure. Okay, cool, guys. Let's get back to some of your questions of what's going on. Oh, I was gonna give a little my thoughts on some fragrances, Mufti's fragrances review. All right, people. All right. Where's this? I can't find it. Yeah. So some thoughts, people, very quickly. I was going to review today some perfumes. Right. An epic, everybody's heard of, this is women's, yeah, so Coco Mademoiselle by Chanel, but this, people, was the intense. Was it worth the hype? Those of you that haven't, women, I know Eid is coming up, or any other occasion, you may be considering it, so I'll take a look at that. And also, I thought, well, this one, I'll contrast. Right, so you've got, let me just, where is it? Mon Guerlain, we've got here. I'll just speak a bit about that as well. And people have asked me, what is the best perfume? What is your number one of all time for men? So I have to give that to these people, Creed Aventus. And since I was mentioning Chanel, I thought I'll bring this up very quickly. This is Chanel Antaeus for men. I saw some hype about it. So what is this hype all about, people? What is this about? Let's take a look, people. Take a look. All right. So, right. First of all, let me just Mon Guerlain or Guerlain. All right. Let me bring this up, people. This is something, those of you, I thought, you know what, if any, let's just fragrance up some bookmarkers. Right, so this is something, it's quite floral, but oh, it just went over there. Right, so look at that. That is, it is a very, I have to say, regarding the notes, it's a very sweet, soft, loud kind of opening to it straight away. You've got, there's a bit of, there is that lavender and a bit of that kind of floral sense, but it's not harsh. And this, it has a huge kind of vanilla base note to it. It's very, very strong, very sweet, has huge longevity to it. It is definitely something that if you're into your sweet kind of, I use the term loud, but very kind of, it has a huge presence to it. Some, you know, if you're into the kind of like gourmand, gourmand, that kind of fragrances, then this is something definitely, it's, yeah, it's very elegant as well. It has that kind of elegance to it. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I would probably rate this out of 10, maybe about 7 out of 10. Right, this was the, I know there's a bunch of them that Guerlain have done, that this was the, just the intense eau de parfum. So I know they've got a whole series of them, maybe about 5 or so, that they've kind of got slightly different titles to them. But yeah, I hope that's... Next one, people, we'll stick to the women's. Right, so let me just check un momento. Alright, so Coco Mademoiselle. Now everybody, you know, one of my number one for women's perfumes, people, is Coco Mademoiselle. That has to be like 9 out of 10. Okay. Now this, they came up with this, Chanel did, the Intense. But is it worth the hype, people? Right, so I'm just gonna have some, oh my god, that bounced back on my lip. Damn, I'm gonna smell of this. Bloody hell. Better avoid the the gay quarter in Birmingham city centre. But so right now this, wow, it has a very intense opening, people. The opening notes, there's like an orange, a bergamot, strong smell to it though. It's very powerful, intense. And you can definitely smell a kind of rosy, a jasmine-y smell to it, okay? As it settles, it does have a bit of that kind of vanilla smell, but see, it's already like the opening notes are already dissipating, and you can kind of see the heart notes coming through. I mean, it's nice, don't get me wrong, it is good, but it does not compare to, you know, to the original. You know, for Chanel to kind of go and make an intense version of Coco Mademoiselle, you think that at least it should be on par with its, you know, with its predecessor, or if not top it. This definitely comes way below. If I was to give the original 9 out of 10, I would give this maybe 7, being generous, like 7 out of 10. It is nice, don't get me wrong. It's very, it does have a strong kind of rosy smell. Maybe something a bit more mature. I don't know, that's what I feel. But yeah, I'm not too impressed with it, since you see it's got a lot to compare with. It's trying to compare with Coco Mademoiselle, and you know, you can't really do that. Right then, people. The perfume of all time. This is my all right. Hello, hello. Yep, that's fine. Seems to be. All right. So, for the daddy perfume, people, this is the one. You know, people ask that. What is the one for men? For me, it is definitely Creed Aventus. Okay. Now, this. I really think that this is the best thing that Creed have ever done. They've never made anything that comes remotely close to this. The Spice and Wood is good, but you know, this is my utmost 9 out of 10 for men. Somebody said the audio is rattling. All right, hopefully that's better now. Somebody said it's crackling. Hopefully that's better. Let me see. Bring up the... I know you can't hear me. That's because I'm... That's because I put it out. Do I still sound like the Terminator? I'll be back. I'll be back. I take it, is it still... It can't still be... out there. Let me see. It's a sign. Yep, we got to start wrapping up, people. Right now, this, right, don't need a bookmarker for that. I'll just spray that on myself. See, as soon as it opens up, people, as soon as it opens up, you can smell that bergamot smell straight away. The bergamot comes right out at you. There is a bit of that kind of pineapple-y kind of smell to it as well. This has it. You know, the thing about this is I love how it settles. It's not so much the opening note, but more how it settles. It has that patchouli smell. It has this kind of like vanilla oak moss. But you know what? This is just, it's just amazing. It's amazing as it settles. That's in my opinion. I have to rate this, you know, the best of all time. Now, since I had done Chanel, I thought, what the hell? You know, so guys, if you're looking for a perfume that you think, well, a fragrance that you think is a must, that just suits every occasion, it has to be Creed Aventus. And there are a few counterfeits, not counterfeits, but a few kind of rip-off fragrances that have kind of copied the smell, and they've done a very good job, I have to say. Very good job. So that is my number one with Layton of the House of Damali. Those two are up there. They are my absolute number one. This, I came across this, right, by Chanel and Teus. I thought, well, all right, what's this hype about? It's something that's meant to kind of transport you back into the 80s or something. And right, Chanel Men's Antaeus, named after the Greek god. Ah, that is vile. I can't stand that smell. Honestly, it's so straight away you're hit with this kind of lemony lime smell. There's like a fresh, I mean, not fresh, but like that kind of, I think they said there's coriander or something in there, but this very strong jasmine smell that just endures. That whole thing, and it lasts forever. You know, honestly, what it reminded me of was simply sitting in my dad's car in in like the late 80s, early 90s as a kid. And you know, you get that kind of cheap car freshener, air freshener, that kind of strong jasmine cheap one for like 99 pence. That's what it reminds me of. 100%. I mean, this is oh my god, I just can't stand it. That would get, like, honestly, for me, as a fragrance, it'd be like 1 at best, 2 out of 10. It's called Antaeus. It's named after the Greek god, you know, the famous, who was undefeated. And then, isn't it Achilles, I think, or is it Hercules who kills him eventually? But and his secret was you had to kind of lift him off the ground to kill him. He was a Greek kind of god. But I don't know, that's nothing divine. But that's my review of that, people. Cool. All right, let's move on. Let's take a few questions. And honestly, it gives me a headache, that does, an absolute migraine. I put it on that bookmarker, and I just hope it kind of, oh no, that's a nice one. That's oh, that's that Mon. Right, so okay, cool. Guys, what has been going on? Ertugrul. Let's talk about Ertugrul. This has been a huge topic that a lot of people have been asking about. And that's because in Pakistan they've started airing Ertugrul on national TV during Ramadan. Imran Khan thought it would be a great idea. Let's get this out there. This was arguably one of his worst decisions ever, in my opinion. Why? Let me tell you why. You see, you know, Pakistani people, they can't handle this kind of stuff. You see, they need something to bring them into the real world, to allow them to move into the future. This kind of stuff just propels them further back into some fake, nostalgic past, romanticizing about some caliphate. Do you know, the actress, I can't recall her name. I've never watched Ertugrul, but I've seen obviously clips of it. Who goes by the name in it? I think she's the lead actress, Halima Khatun or something, in the series. I don't know her real name. Now, she's obviously a huge hit with all the men in Pakistan, and they're like, wow, this, you know, so they've all taken to her Twitter page and her Instagram page, and they've started, her following has just surged. But the crazy thing is that they are shocked as hell because these people are not Islamic in real life. So they've gone on her Instagram page, and she's there chilling in her short dresses, in her skirts, in her, you know, doing as these actresses do on Instagram, posing and, you know, kind of doing all her, you know, maybe wearing something very sexy in some picture or something else, and they're like, huh? Toba, toba, toba. Yeah, Madam Khalifa. ये आप कहाँ कर रहे हैं? ये बहुत बड़ा गुनाह है, बहुत पाप है ये. So somebody said her real name is Ezra. Ezra, okay, that's an interesting name. Right, so they're like, what the hell is Miss Khalifa doing? Miss Khalifa? No. This one's going to be mistaken with another. Mistake ho jayega, mistake. Ghalti se mistake. Miss, in case you guys start searching Miss Khalifa. And Khalifa Mia. Mia being the pronoun suffix of mine in Spanish, my Khalifa, my Khalifa, samjha karo, in case you end up with my Khalifa. So they're thinking, what is this Amiratul Mu'mineen doing on Instagram, showing her legs and showing this and showing her top and, you know, dressed all in certain clothing. Toba, 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 toba nasuha, mahada. So they've started preaching to her in saying, so I've seen some of these things where they're saying, I've watched people's reviews of it, where they're saying, they address her by her integral title of Halima Khatun, you should be ashamed of yourself. Miss, please to do tawbah. Please to, we do dua for you. May Allah, this is no good. You know representing Islam in good way. Your clothing from Ertugrul much better. I bet she's not going to walk around in the 1500 medieval dress, is she? This is the worst thing that Imran Khan has possibly done in his entire career. Now you've just got a bunch of people who want to set up some kind of Ottoman caliphate, and they can't distinguish between reality and drama. And they're thinking, what is our Amiratul Mu'mineen doing? Now they want to take her from her level straight up to the A'la al-Illiyin, you know, the darja of the Muttaqeen. They want to take her there straight away, overnight. Inaya saying, what's that? If only you were the Sultan in the... You teasing me, you naughty. Right, so now this is the problem. And then when they've seen the lead actor, Khalifa Saab, Khalifa Saab's chilling on the beach and he's with his sunglasses and he's chilling there in his shorts and people are like, Toba, Toba, ye ka ho raha hai? Allah, Allah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. People are doing dua for them, that may Allah return their iman to the darja that it was upon in Ertugrul. And you're like, Abe Salo, this was the Notanki hai Baba, Notanki. This is a drama, you know this one. So god damn, this is the worst thing to have ever... Muslims need to be shown drama and things like this on how to progress with Islam, about Muslims who are comfortable in their skin as Muslims in the current world. Not about some fake, you know, thing about the father of the Ottoman Empire from so long ago, the rise of the Seljuks. I mean, it's entertainment, I get that. But the problem is these people are seeing it as fact and they're seeing it as an aspiration. So yeah, this is an absolute, I think, a disaster. But that's my thoughts on it anyway. Somebody said there may be some positives. There are a lot of positives from the drama. Yeah, perhaps. You know what it is? I can't really... It's not my kind of thing. I've not watched it. I can't really... I'm sure if I did watch it, it'd be okay. But, you know, I don't like all this kind of like... I think one of the reason Muslims watching it so much is it's giving them an excuse to watch something. Like they want to watch something and now they're like, this is ours. Like it's Muslim. I think, look, there's awesome TV series if you want to watch them. They're already there. It's on Netflix. It's on Prime. Watch them. That's what you call TV series. This, yeah. Gangs of London. Oh, toba. Mafia. Toba. This stuff, what the hell is this? Yes, I can't really be bothered with all this kind of nostalgia of like, oh, the medieval times. But yeah, but I'm sure I'm not hating on the show. I'm sure, you know, if you like it, fine. I mean, that's amazing. Um, right, right, all right. So, Money Heist, obviously epic, of course. Es mejor, es mejor. Absolutely, muy phenomenal. It's super. It's right. So I've seen all of Ozark as well. That's amazing. Right, people. Let's do a few quick catch up of Eid. What to do on Eid? People are freaking out. What do we do on Eid? I thought, well, okay, let's just recap some of the rules for you guys. Now, I'll give you some simple, some of the simple fiqh. Eid is coming up, and it is permissible to pray at home. Okay, and I'm going to explain that in just a moment, very quickly, and just go through some of the differences. Okay, on how to pray as well. So, I thought I'll just quote it from this. He's done a nice way of, he's kind of sequenced it pretty well. Rahmatul Ummah fi ikhtilaf al-a'imma. He is a Shafi'i and Uthmani from the Ottomans, obviously around shortly after Ertugrul Sahib. Right, but yeah, why not? On this occasion, we'll use a Shafi'i. What the hell? What the hell, man? What the hell? So, اتفقوا على أن صلاة العيدين is مشروعة. So they all the scholars, they definitely legislate, they accept Salatul Eid as a ritual prayer. They disagree about its ruling. فقال أبو حنيفة هي واجبة على الأعيان. Abu Hanif, sometimes I have to read it from here. If I don't read, people say, can Mufti even read? I have to, this time, this one, show the public, जनता को जवाब दो कब पढ़ोगे प्यार में सारी दुनिया पड़ी हुई है हम भी हैं कितार में. That's the right. So जनता को जवाब दो. So here واجبة على الأعيان, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, it's واجبة. He gets this wrong, says Kal Jum'ah, but that's not the Hanafi madhab. He made a mistake. Ghalti se mistake. You Shafi'i, naughty. وقال مالك والشافعي sunnah. So it's sunnah according to Malik wa Shafi'i. And Ahmed said, here fardun ala al-kifaya. So what is the ruling to do with Eid? Generally, that's the difference of opinion, but it's sunnah. Okay? I'm just giving it to you. Abu Hanifa, he does mention, said, its conditions, or you have to be in a city, there has to be al-adad, idhnul imam, blah, 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 blah. This is irrelevant stuff. Don't really worry too much about it. As he says, قال مالك والشافعي كل ذلك ليس بشرط وأجاز صلاتها فرادى لمن شاء من الرجال والنساء. So Imam Malik and Imam Shafi'i said, there's no problem in people praying on their own. Whether men or women can pray Salatul Eid on their own. Okay, so that's the ruling. Yes, you can pray at home on your own. That's always been a thing within the Maliki madhab and the Shafi'i madhab. Right, so what about how do you pray? Well, we know it has some extra takbirat. Allahu Akbar. So what is that all about? Well, واتفقوا على تكبيرة الإحرام في أولها. So they all agree that you have to do a تكبيرة الإحرام to start off. واختلفوا في التكبيرات الزوائد. And they disagree on what comes after that. فقال أبو حنيفة النعمان. الله هاي أبو حنيفة جي. ثلاث في الأولى وثلاث في الثانية. He says 3 in the first and 3 in the last. وقال مالك وأحمد. Malik and Ahmed say 6 في الأولى و5 في الثانية. 5 takbirat in the first rak'ah and 6 sorry, I said that backwards. 6 in the first rak'ah and 5 in the second rak'ah. وقال الشافعي 7 في الأولى, and Shafi'i said 7 in the beginning. So now, and Shafi'i and Ahmed say between each takbir you do dhikr, you glorify. But Malik and Abu Hanifa said, nah mate, بل يوالي بين التكبيرات نسقا. said, nah, mate, you just do takbirat. And the difference between this is based on some of the hadith in how they saw the Prophet, how some people described the Prophet. So some people said they saw the Prophet doing seven takbirat as he began the Eid prayer and then just started reciting. Now, because with the Malikiyah, you don't have a dua when you open the salah. You don't say Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika or anything like that. You just say Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So you start straight away. So they saw that the first takbir would have obviously been the takbir to start the prayer. The 6 takbirat that followed were the takbirat for Eid. The Shafi'i madhab would have thought mistakenly, they would have thought, 7 takbirat, they must all be extra. So because the Shafi'is have a dua when you open salah, so they obviously start with Allahu Akbar, then they read a dua like Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa Allahumma ba'id bayni wa so now to them they would have read this, then did 7, assuming the person is saying they were 7 takbirat, but the first of those 7, the first one was actually for opening the prayer, and it wasn't the takbiratul of Eid. Right, then when do you do them? قال مالك والشافعي يقدم التكبير على القراءة في الركعتين. Malik and Shafi'i said that these madhabs, that you do takbir before you do recitation in both rak'at. You get up, or as soon as you begin, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah, and you do the takbirat, and then you start recitation, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Now when you get up the second time, same thing. That's Malik and Shafi'i. However, Abu Hanifa said, you know what? You mix it up a little, shake it up. He said on the first one, you'll do it before. But in the second one, you'll do it after recitation, before going into ruku'. So remember, it's only 3 rak'at with the Hanafiya. And you do Rafa'ul Yadayn. Okay, so you do Rafa'ul Yadayn. Now, generally, they all accept that you do Rafa'ul Yadayn. Now, Malik in one riwayah, in the Mudawwana, Ibn Qasim says you don't do Rafa'ul Yadayn apart from for the first, for starting Salah. But all the other Malikis, Mutarraf, you've got Ibn Kinana, you've got other people, you've got the Ibn Abdus, and you've got a lot of all the other Malikiyah generally transmit that you can do Rafa'ul Yadayn. Okay, so it's in Ibn Abd al-Hakam as well in his Majmu'ah. That's the riwayah as well, that it's to do Rafa'ul Yadayn. So you do Allahu Akbar, you raise the hands. Okay. Now then, there's just to touch up on 1-2 other points. What if you miss Eid prayer? Do you have to make it up? واختلفوا في من فاتته صلاة العيد مع الإمام فقال أبو حنيفة ومالك لا يقضي. You do not do قضاء. Malik and Abu Hanifa said, but Ahmed said يقضي منفردا. And Shafi'i was had both opinions. Now, right, okay. Now they do disagree. Should you pray outside if you have an opportunity? But since it's in lockdown, I won't go too much into that. But they generally all say that, except the Shafi'iyah. They say if you can do it in the masjid and the masjid is large enough, then that's better. Okay, there you go. Sometimes you got to read from the book just so people know you're literate. Otherwise, people start to think, I don't know whether Mufti can even read. So, in simple terms, we will pray Eid at home, on your own. You can follow an Imam virtually if you are. You can do that, that's fine. Even if you do it on your own, you can. It's just 2 rak'at. Before beginning, you can, you can do some dhikr, etc., takbir, Allahu Akbar, things like this. But you begin, the main thing is you begin. If you're doing it on your own, there isn't going to be a khutbah really, it's just the Eid prayer. Okay, so you just do 2 rak'at and you begin, according to the Malikis, you do you just do Allahu Akbar, then 6 extra takbirs, and you just pray normally. In the second rak'ah, you stand up. Once you've stood up, you do 5 extra takbirs and then just carry on normally. The difference with the Hanafis, which is widespread in the UK, is they just do 3 extra on each rak'ah. In the first rak'ah, they'll do 3 in the beginning. So when you start, You said your dua. Before you read Fatiha, you do 3. Allah. In the second rak'ah, you get up as normal. You start reading Fatiha, Surah. Then you do 3. And then you go into ruku'. That's what it is. If you miss it, you don't need to make it up. Relax. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. If you are praying with an imam and you've missed the takbirat, the imam has done them, then you can just catch up, so long as you're in the same rak'ah. If you've missed it altogether, don't worry about it. Okay, but if you can catch it in that rak'ah, just catch it. Just do it yourself. Okay, if you can. That's if you're praying behind an imam. Right. Other than that, we've got Sadaqatul Fitr. The ruling on Sadaqatul Fitr. Yes. You can Sadaqatul Fitr can be given in cash. It doesn't have to be food, and you can give it. It is an average, like the cost of a, I don't know, is it something like about £4, £5, maybe £4.50, £4, something like that. It's per head. Okay, so each person of the household, even if it's a child, this much amount is given per capita. Okay, so you will, whoever the responsible person will give for everyone in their family. Okay, and you can give that to charity. You can give that before Eid or on Eid. Okay, I hope that wraps things up. What about the dua and hugging people and things like that? Obviously you've got social distancing going on, but if you are hugging people wherever you are in the world, that's fine. If you say things like Kulla aam wa antum bi khair, you can say that. Imam Malik was asked, what do you know, people say Taqabbal Allahu minkum, is this okay? He said, look, it's not something the Prophet did, but he said, I see no problem with, you know, these kind of practices. It's all good, people. It's all good. I thought I'll put that out there. Okay, right, now we got to start wrapping this up. Oh, there was something I'd come across, people, for right now. I'd come across this upset post in the Masala segment by Asim Qureshi Saab. Now, he had made a post saying, I am so upset. Like, he was so upset about what Sheikh Hamza Yusuf had said. So what is it that Sheikh Hamza Yusuf had said? And it's to do with the lockdown and domestic violence.
Sure. I mean, first of all, domestic violence is haram in Islam. To beat a woman is haram. The verse in Surah An-Nisa, verse 34, that the verse in there is very clear in the commentaries. It's very clear that has nothing to do with violence. That any physical act of violence against a woman, or don't forget, women actually are also abusive. About close to 30% of all domestic violence in America is women actually against men. So men are also abused physically, and a lot of men, and I'm one of them, you know, because I've never hit a woman, and like I grew up learning that you do not hit women, and so there are men who actually will be their wife or their spouse or whoever will get violent with them, and they won't fight back, and ER doctors know this because they've seen men who come to ER with boiling water had been poured on them when they were sleeping or something like that because of some of these domestic disputes. So it's not just the women, but the majority, undeniably, the majority of you know, around 66% in the U.S. I don't know what the stats are in UK are women. So the majority of victims of domestic violence are women. And unfortunately, even murders that are spousal, they're usually perpetrated the man against the woman. So this is a human problem. It's been a problem for a very, very long time. What people should fear God and know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is over them. And even in the verse,
and this part, this person, this individual took offense to.
Is over them immediately after that, for that very reason. So, you know, I just, no woman should feel insecure in her home. No woman should have that feeling. the house in Arabic, the word in Arabic is maskan, which is the place of sakina. And the Quran, when it talks about in
Oh, sorry,
Surah
that's
Ar-Rum,
coming here.
when it talks about the reason why God created the man and the woman, one of the reasons was litaskunu ilayha, that you find tranquility in your spouse. And so there should be sakina in the home. And if there's not, that home is not practicing the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know that the Prophet never raised his hand to hit a woman, a child, or a servant. And that's in the hadith. So the sunnah of the Prophet is never to raise his hand against a woman, a child, or a servant. And if you're doing that, you're not following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So I would just remind people of that. I mean, one of the interesting verses in the Quran in Surah Maryam, you know, where Mary, when the Annunciation happens and she sees the angels, she seeks refuge in Allah, and then she says, in kunta taqiyya, you know, if you have taqwa. I mean, when you're in a situation like, it's, if the person has an ounce of piety in their heart and that woman reminds them, that should be something that stops them from doing that. But women have a right to be safe and secure in their homes. And I would just add to this, and this is a very
And it was
important
this
component.
part.
Understand that your husbands right now are probably in there's anxiety, there's concern about, you know, their jobs, where they're going. These are all real, and they create an immense amount of mental stress. And so it's very important that a woman understand that, especially if she's being provided for generally by that husband. I mean, sometimes both spouses are working, and that's a very different situation. But when the husband is the main provider for the household, it's very important that the woman really help him in that as his partner, and just be a source of solace for him. And because some relationships, you can have unfortunately people that are always complaining, or they just goad the person, or they push buttons, you know, as they say in modern parlance, you know. And some spouses, whether it's male or...
Right, so that part that you could see there, that's what's kind of triggered that this, what is it, Asim Qureshi, who's, I'm not sure if he's the founder, but he's definitely in like one of the lead figures of the Cage organization. So, and he says that, look, oh my God, this is, and he's quoting Hamza Yusuf, and he's saying, this is really awful advice. I'm victim blaming. I can't believe he actually just said that. Now, this is why I made you guys watch the whole clip, because I was like, well, if I don't do that, you won't know exactly what's being said. So, in essence, Asim Qureshi is just trying to do this to Hamza Yusuf. Hamza Yusuf is the kid. Right, so I mean, I honestly, let's just get real here. Right, I'm just gonna bring up, sorry, your comments just disappeared for a moment. Right, now let's just get real. I mean, without this is without any kind of hate or anything, nothing like that. But let's just be real. Like the organizations like the Cage, which are seen as sympathetic to extremists, and by the media, they're dubbed as obviously like terrorists or terrorist supporters. This is how they're dubbed, right? So. And whether they, I'm not saying that they are terrorist supporters, but they're definitely sympathetic to many people who have been part of that extremist narrative. So they're sympathetic to them. Now, come on, let's be real. How can you be jumping, of all people, how can, two things. One, first of all, how can you be misrepresenting somebody like, let's say Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, who said many things in the past which have been so controversial. You could have easily picked him up on something like that. You know, if you hate on him, let's say, he said so many things, and you could trip him up on, oh my God, he said this and this thing, and huge controversies in the past, and about the Syrians, and this and that. But seriously, to misrepresent him on this, and then to cry that the media in the West misrepresent Muslims, like, let's say, like their organization and other people all the time. They're going to say, well, why do these media always quote us out of context? They always misrepresent us. And then this is exactly what you're doing. This is the problem with Muslims. You know, these kind of, like, the problem is that we're always in such a state of like victimhood, like that, oh, we're always victims, and they just turn, you know, from victim to oppressor within a split second. They, look, any opportunity they get, they will do exactly the same thing that they loathe towards other people. And it's shocking. And the second layer, which I found so hilarious, was that how, let's say, I mean, I'm sure Asim Qureshi isn't representative of the whole cage thing, but definitely a part of it. How can he, let's say, like saying something like this, oh my God, how can you say this to women? I mean, I think it's a bit late to jump on the Me Too bandwagon and try and win the feminist vote. I mean, for God's sake, you know, from like extremism sympathizing to let's try and get the women's votes as well, the feminist vote. That's just no. Tarkib nahi chalegi. No. I just found that hilarious. I thought, oh my God, when I saw that, I thought, this is so hilarious. How could this actually, you know, like, to try and appease to like the feminists in this, you know, especially when it's so obvious that you're not. Oh my God. Anyway, people, I think we've, Salik, you're doing it, man. Much love right at you. Right. Toba. That's it, people. Spread the fitan and fasad. That's it. Cool. All right, let's wrap this up, guys. It's been way. Was there anything that I had to cover that hasn't? Meanwhile, there was. I ain't gonna share that, but I have heard that there may be a debate going on. You know, sometimes I try and keep tabs of what's going on the Muslim scene. So I think Imam Asim and maybe the Shia, I don't know. I've seen a few videos floating about. I don't know whether there's going to be a debate. Fight. Debate. Not, people. Behave. Acting like a bunch of kids. No, so well, cool. But I don't think I've left anything. Nope, it's all good. Guys, as always, right? If you need to reach out to me, do so. All the platforms are there. You know, I keep saying these things, but you know, it's like sunte hi nahi hai. Then they're like, you know, I had somebody, damn, I wanted to share that actually. Somebody tagged me in their status on Instagram saying, you know, I used to despise, these were his words, I used to despise Mufti before. But now, after a few years, I realized I actually kind of like him. He's funny. Even though I still disagree with him theologically, like in beliefs. He said, but no, how do you say? Yeah, I but now after years, I've realized I like his humor. I thought, cha. You know, then they're like, oh, why does Mufti swear? Abbe, gali na do to kya haar penao? Guys, as always, much love. If you need to reach out, here are the platforms. Do like, click the notification bell, people, so you're kept updated. Releasing videos daily. Watch out for the courses, the Risala, the Arabic. Do your proactive learning. Much love. Take very good care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.